Hey guys, what's going on? This is Atharva and today we're going to see how to create your own token exchange platform using 0x. So 0x provides you with a lot of APIs to help you find the latest prices of tokens so that you can exchange tokens at any given point of time. So we are going to do that today, and today we are going to also look at a concept called mainnet forking. So mainnet forking means creating an entire copy of the mainnet and using it as your private testnet. So why do we do this? We do this because all of the smart contracts, all of the state of the entire mainnet blockchain remains in our fork. So we can just modify it, we can play around with it without any restrictions, without losing any real money. So let's go ahead and start forking our own Ethereum mainnet. Okay, so first of all, to fork Ethereum mainnet, we will need an RPC provider to initially contact Ethereum mainnet to get the data we require. So to do that, you can use Alchemy. The link is in the description. Go ahead, create your account, click on login, and it will show you a login page, and then you will be redirected to your dashboard, and you can create your app on any chain. So here we have a app. Here we have an app on Polygon Mumbai. You can just click this, and for typical purposes you might need some funds for testing. So if you want funds for testing, you can just click on get testmatic, and Alchemy has its own faucet to do that. So you can just enter your address and get the funds, but we are not dealing with Polygon Mumbai in this tutorial. So let's go back and let's create an app, and we are going to name it fork, and the description is also fork. You can just name it anything you want, and we are going to have Ethereum mainnet as the network, and we are going to create an app. Now we can go in the fork, and the reason you don't have a faucet here because that's real money. Of course there aren't going to be faucets who are going to give you Ethereum mainnet funds, and that's the reason we are going to fork it, so that we can have some dummy funds to interact with all the existing contracts. So let's go ahead and click on view key, and we need the HTTPS URL, because we are going to need it to fork the mainnet. So now let's go ahead to our terminal. Let me bring my terminal. Let's go to our directory where you need to make a project. So I'll go to document/YouTube, and here I'll go ahead and make a new project directory. I will call it trade, maybe, yeah. And then I'll go to trade, and here we need two things. First of all, we need a web application, and then we need a Hardhat project. So first of all, we will need an Hardhat project because that's the tool we are going to use for forking Ethereum. So let's go ahead and create a new folder, mkdir Hardhat. Then we are going to cd into Hardhat, and now we are going to say npx Hardhat to initialize a Hardhat project. We won't be coding in Hardhat at all, but we need Hardhat to fork our Ethereum mainnet. So we are going to select create a basic sample project. We are going to press tab and just use the current folder. Let's add gitignore. Let's do npm install. So depending on your system and your internet connection, this should take anywhere between 1 minute to 5 minutes, or even less if you have a super fast internet connection. So yeah, I will skip this part and I'll be back when this is done. Perfect. So our Hardhat project is made. Now we can do code dot to open VS Code here. Now that VS Code is open, let's go ahead and full screen this, and I will push it to another desktop so that we can easily manage everything. Perfect. Now let's dismiss all the alerts. Now the only file we need to edit here is hardhat.config.js, and here we need to add another object. So we are going to say networks. For some reason IntelliSense wasn't working, so networks, and the name should be Hardhat, and it should be Hardhat, so it's specific here. And now we are going to say forking. We are letting Hardhat know that we are forking an existing blockchain, and we are going to provide an URL, and this URL will be the Alchemy HTTP URL you just copied. And you also need a property called enabled, and just set it to true. And also, because we are forking Ethereum mainnet, and I have done this before, you will face issues about gas. So you will need to set your chain ID to 1, which corresponds to Ethereum mainnet's chain ID. After doing this, you can just go in your terminal. I'll push this terminal to that VS Code. Perfect. Now all you need to do is let's just clear this out first and do npx Hardhat node and a double dash network and Hardhat. So we are saying that run the node at the network Hardhat, and at the network Hardhat we have provided the details that we are forking Ethereum mainnet. So let's press enter, and this should start forking Ethereum mainnet. So it won't download the entire mainnet data, but it will access the mainnet whenever and wherever you need it. So it won't use up a lot of data anyways. So let's wait for this to start up. It won't take a lot of time, and you should be greeted with all the details. So let's wait for it. So we have all our details here. So you have some private keys. Note that you should not send real Ethereum on these private keys, because probably bots are running on these, and whenever you send anything to this, they will basically just take away your tokens. So you probably should not be using this on a production environment. You just use it on a separate Chrome or Brave environment. Use these accounts just there, not in your production environment. So yeah, we will need this private key because we are going to interact with Metamask now. So the useful information we have now is the URL. So let's just copy this. Let's go to our browser here. So this is my development browser. I do all the development here so that it remains separate from my regular day-to-day browser. So I'll just go ahead and enter my Metamask password. And here now we are on Polygon testnet, but we need to import an account with this private key. So let's just copy the private key first and then add the network. So this is the private key. I will add the private key here, and it's 2266 at the end, which is correct. And as you see, you have some matic here already testnet. So these are publicly accessible addresses, and you should not be using this in production environment. So let's go ahead in settings and networks, and you are going to click on add networks. So now Metamask should pop up, and this should say network name. So we are just going to say Hardhat network, new RPC URL. Now you copy this RPC URL and paste it there, and it should tell you the chain ID automatically. Just type in any number, so it will tell that this is returning a different chain ID, which is 1. So let's set this to 1, and this will say that this chain ID is currently used by Ethereum mainnet, and that's okay. We did it on purpose. So we'll just say ETH here as a currency symbol and just save this. Now this is loading. We have 10,000 Ethereum as shown in the terminal window. Now this is always a good practice that whenever you connect your Metamask to a node server, Hardhat forked mainnet, so you can just go to settings, you go to advanced, and you reset account. So whenever you face any issue with anything, just go ahead and reset account. Don't worry, it won't delete anything. It will just reset the nonce so that you don't have any issues. So now you have this account, and it's forked with mainnet, so you can access all the smart contracts which are currently on mainnet using this account, and not mess with the real mainnet. So yeah, let's go ahead and create our own Next.js application now, and let's interact with the 0x API. So I'm going to create a new tab here, and in the new tab I'll do cd double dot, and here we are going to create a Next.js application. So let's say npx create next app, and we are going to name it, what should we name it? We'll just name it front end. You can just name it whatever you want to, and let's see if the node is still working properly. Yes, it is. And you see that Metamask is calling our node, so you know that this is working. And sometimes the node gets unresponsive, so you just need to kill it and start it again, and that happens way too often. Just don't use Metamask while swapping. I mean, don't swap using Metamask. It will just break the entire server, and you just need to start it again. So yeah, now let's go to cd front end, and here we are going to do code dot. Let's put this into another desktop. So I'll just bring in another and paste, and I'm just going to full screen. Perfect. Is everything okay? Yep. And also this is the documentation for 0x. I will share this URL in the description so that you can see how to go ahead with actual trading. So there are a lot of things you can do. You can you can go ahead and see the order book. You can do a lot of different things, so you can just go ahead, see to this documentation. I always recommend people to see the documentation first without watching a tutorial. So pause for a second, go see the documentation and come back. So yeah, now let's go back to our VS Code. Now we don't need a lot of things here, so let's go to our terminal. We need to install a package first. In the front end, we are going to say yarn add ethers. So we will be needing this package because we are going to interact with the Metamask, of course. And yeah, now let's go to pages and index.js. Let's delete everything from main till footer because we don't need any of that. And now we are going to do a bunch of things. So first of all, let's design the layout. So I have some styles here, so I will be using that. So first of all, we will have a div with this style. You can just pause the video, or you can use the GitHub repository in the description, but we won't be wasting time on styles here. So this is the styling, basic styling we are going to use, and we are going to have an h1. We are going to say purchase USDT. So for this tutorial, we are just going to purchase USDT. If you want to do a lot of different things, just look at the documentation, and they have a well-written documentation on how to do that. So yeah, now the next thing we going to have is input type number, and we have a placeholder of Ethereum, so ETH. And then we are going to have USDT. So input type number placeholder USDT. So now we need some states to map these things. So let's create the states now. So let's go here. We'll need a lot of states here. First of all, let's do the fields. So const ETH set ETH is equal to use state, and by default it should be 1 so that it always responds with something. So yeah, and this should be a string, by the way. And then we are going to have const USDT set USDT is equal to use state, and we are going to have it as blank because it will be determined by the API of 0x API. So the price will be determined by 0x API. We don't need to worry about that. And now let's map the Ethereum one to the state. So we are going to say value ETH, and then we are going to say on change. We are going to say set ETH e.target.value. Perfect. And in this one, USDT one, this should be disabled because we are not allowing reverse trading for now. So we're just going to say value USDT and disabled, so that nobody can enter anything in the text box, and we don't need an on change here because the button is disabled. So yeah, this is we have. And then we need whenever somebody, so let's see what we have right now. So if we go to our browser, where is our browser? We have localhost. Let's we don't have the server started. Let's go to terminal and say yarn dev. Perfect. And now let's see how this is looking. So we have an Ethereum field and one for USDT, which is disabled. So now what should happen is whenever I enter the amount of Ethereum, the USDT should update automatically with the number of USDT I am supposed to get after the trade. So let's go ahead and contact 0x API to do that. So here we need to create a function called getQuote. So this is where we will make the API call. This should be an asynchronous function with a try catch block. So we're just going to have a console.error of error, and then we are going to just have an alert error getting a quote. Perfect. And now in the try block, we are just going to make a request. So const request is equal to await fetch, And now here we need some quite a few of things. So let's do this. We need backticks because we are going to add some data dynamically. So now let's say https api dot 0x dot org slash swap slash v1 slash quote, and this is from the documentation if you are wondering. And now we are going to say sell token. So the token we are going to sell is ETH, and buy token USDT. If you want, you can just make this dynamic, but there are some different steps you need to follow for swapping tokens and swapping token with Ethereum. So yeah, you need to take care of that. So and we are going to have a sell amount which should be equal to a dynamic value, which is ethers. This will auto import ethers above, which should have a bracket like this. Note that ethers dot utils dot pass ether, and we are just going to pass in how much ether that is, so which is ETH in the state, right? So you have this ETH in the state. This will just pass it to a necessary value, so we don't need to worry about passing. So yeah, and after the request, first of all we need to say const data, and if the request fails right here, like doesn't even get sent, it will go to the catch block, so we don't need to worry about that. So now we are going to say data is equal to await request dot json. This will give us the JSON data, and then we are going to say if the request is not okay. So if the request doesn't have 200 status scores, so we just request dot okay, and here we are going to say console dot error data, and then we are just going to return set USDT 0 because that request didn't went through, so it's better to just show 0. And if the request went through, then we are just going to say set USDT data. This is the data which we got back from the API, so they have a buy amount, and since USDT has 6 decimal places, you can just Google for every token you want. So USDT has 6 decimal places, we can do 1E6. So if some token has like 18 decimal places, you can do 1E18. That's how it works. So for USDT it's 1E6, and then we are just going to do set first of all we need to make a state for quote. So let's do that so that we can access the quote whenever we want to. And we are going to do this because we need this quote in different functions. We need the data. So set quote, and here we are going to have data. Yeah, I guess that's all. Yeah, now every time this value change, every time ETH changes, we want the USDT to change also. So how do we do that? We run this function whenever somebody types in that thing, right? So how do we do that? We can use a use effect. So use effect, this should perform a function which is get quote, and this should run whenever ETH is changed. Easy. Now if we go back here, this should technically work. So if we have 1, and if we add like if we have okay, so error getting a code because we left it blank. So if we have 2, it will show 3184. So yeah, this is how this works. Now we just need to work on actually swapping our ETH for USDT. So how do we do that? We need another function for that. So let's create a new function. First of all, the most important thing I always forget is connecting to Metamask. So we need to have that function, and that function is not that relevant, so we will just copy this function. I'll just paste it here, and if you want to look at this, I mean if you want to copy this, you can just pause the video and copy this. And we are going to add this function in our use effect. So we are just going to say connect to Metamask. Perfect. And now everything is fine. Yeah, now we just need to make the purchase function. So yeah, let's go ahead and create a new function here. So const purchase USDT is equal to asynchronous function, which will have a try catch block error, and console.error should have that object, and we are just going to say alert error purchasing USDT, and in the try block we are going to send the transaction. Now one more thing we missed is that we have the signer here, so we need to make a state for the signer. So whenever somebody authenticates using Metamask, we will have that signer to make transactions. So signer set signer is equal to use state, which should be blank. Perfect. And now here we're going to say const txn, which stands for transaction await signer dot send transaction. IntelliSense won't work in this, but if you're using TypeScript, you know what you do. You just add the interface to the state. So yeah, send transaction, and this is an object. So a lot of data, all of the data here is given by the code. So we can just do code from which is our state, and then we are going to do to quote.to. Then data should be quote.data, and value should be the ETH amount we want to send. So ethers.utils.parseETH, pass ether, and here we're going to pass in the ETH so that it just passes it accordingly. So yeah, now we are going to say await txn.wait. So we are going to wait for the transaction to be over. In our case, it will be completed in an instant because this is a testnet, but in mainnet it would take some time. And let me warn you already, like this takes some time for this to execute because it's going to query the actual mainnet to see what's happening there. So yeah, now after this is done, we are just going to say alert purchased USDT successfully. We are going to save this, and now you need to call this function in a button. So let's go to the bottom here, and we are going to create a new button on click, which will do purchase USDT, and which should be saying purchase USDT. Okay, let's go back here. Now things are working fine. Are we still connected to the okay, so we need to disconnect all the accounts here, and then we will reload the page and it will ask us to connect. We are not going to we are going to connect account 3 because it has balance. Perfect. Now that it's connected, now we can just buy some USDT. So for some testing purposes we will have this open. So yeah, now let's go ahead and purchase USDT worth 1 ETH. So yeah, remember that this value corresponds to the real mainnet and not our fork of mainnet. So this value might differ from what we actually get, but yeah, you get the point. This is only for testing purposes. In real environments, this value should be correct. So now let's click on purchase USDT, and then this should take some time because where is our terminal? Because this is going to query the real mainnet. So yeah, it's already here. So it's saying that we are going to buy USDT worth 1 ETH, and you can see the values are almost correct and as reflected by the API. So let's just click on confirm. It says USDT purchase successfully. Now if you go to our MetaMask and click on assets, we haven't seen is it because okay, let's go to MetaMask here. Let's cross this. So it's not showing us here. So, oh yeah, now it shows us. So yeah, you can just buy USDT like this. So let's go back here and let's sell like 3,000. Let's purchase like 3,000, which is still not accurate because the network got blocked. So yeah, you might need to find some way to actually send the request when the user is done typing, or maybe add a button to do that. So yeah, now let's click on purchase USDT. Now this should again take some time because it's querying the mainnet using Alchemy RPC. So let's wait for it to get done. and then it should be popping up. So if this doesn't come up for a long time, you know that something is wrong with this, so you just kill it and start it again. But we need to wait for some time, and it really depends on your system and internet connection. So yeah, let's also check the terminal. If something is going on, we will know. Metamask should be here at any time. Let's wait. Oh yeah, now this might show a bunch of errors, but you can just ignore it. Let's go to our Metamask pop-up. It says 3000 Ethereum and we get 4 million something USDT. So let's click on confirm, and it says purchased USDT successfully. Now let's go to Metamask and check our assets. Now we have a lot of USDT, 4,740,000. yeah, you know it. So this is and if you deploy this thing on mainnet, it should work as expected. So yeah, because we have just forked the mainnet and it works on that, so it should work on the real mainnet. So yeah, that is it for this video. Check out Alchemy and 0x. The links are in the description. We are really close to 1000 subscribers. If you really like my videos, if my videos provide value to you, make sure you subscribe to this channel to show some support to me. And I would be the happiest person if we reach 1000 subscribers within a month, I guess. So let's see if that happens. Yeah, so that is it for this video. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.